Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in day 5 of my 7 days of Halloween series for 2020, I'm going to be altering and converting an old cardboard set of drawers into something a bit more fitting for Halloween. So a while ago, I made this storage tray out of an old dog meat or dog pouch box, exactly the same size and shape as this one. And what I did was I cut it down to the shape that I wanted so I could use it as either a letter rack or a storage container to keep my stencils and things in, and I thought it would be fun to decorate it with some kind of poison apothecary kind of Halloween imagery. So now that I've got this one, it looks a bit odd sitting on my bookshelf all alone amongst the other boxes and things that I used to keep storage in. So I discovered I had one of these. It's a small 4-drawer unit that really didn't have anything in it at all. And I did use it when I first bought it to store alcohol inks in and reinkers, and I did have some handles on it. You can see the holes in the drawer fronts there, but they got stolen by somebody who I share a house with, and doesn't have 4 legs. So what I've done is I've taken the remaining 2 drawer legs or drawer handles off and just put a piece of card across the back of each one just to kind of strengthen it and also hide those holes. I'm going to turn it round and put some new handles on the front of this, but I'm going to decorate it in exactly the same way as I've done this, so it's going to become a companion piece. So the first thing that I've done is, using my computer and printer, I've created this kind of backing paper which I used on this one. I kept it, didn't want to throw it away. Once I created the background paper, I saved it for a rainy day. Now there are 2 different versions. There's this one, which has a couple of little poison labels on it, and then there's the other version that has the bigger, more colourful poison labels on. So I've actually printed off 3 of each of these sheets. So this is only going to take 6 sheets of paper to cover, and that includes the drawer front. So I've obviously got edges all the way around them, but I'm not too bothered about that because I can just quickly cut those off if I need to and then get cracking on gluing and sticking them down. So my original idea was to have the top and the 2 sides with the poison labels on. Now if I'm very, very careful, which probably might be able to, I may get both sides out of one sheet of paper, but knowing my luck, it'll just be too small, so I'll have to use all of them. So that's what I'm going to get started on doing right now. So to glue them all down, I'm obviously going to be using some matte medium, which I've got here, and a big paintbrush, which isn't going to get used for paint. Just get rid of that off there. So just to quickly get started, I'll grab my trimmer and I'm just going to quickly whip off the 4 sides. I think my blade is probably in need of replacing. I also think that the blades for this particular trimmer are no longer available, so I may have to invest in a new trimmer if that's the case. This one's been with me for quite some time. I don't think Stampin' Up actually do this trim anymore. I think they've retired it. We'll see. Okay, so I'll just put my trimmer down on there. So that's going to be the first sheet. So I'm going to do the biggest part first, I think. I'm going to glue everything onto the back. So what I'll do is I'll start at this side and then I'm going to just fold it so I know that's going to go there, and then I can fold that over on there like that. So if I do run out of one of the sides, I can just adjust. And of course I'm making sure that I've got the writing facing upwards. So, matte medium, I'm just going to pour it straight on. And I don't mind if there's wrinkles or bubbles or that kind of stuff in this, because it's just going to add to the overall kind of aged effect. So let's just go all the way over first. And I don't mind if it dribbles down the sides. And then I'll just grab that and just quickly give that the once over with this, the excess. So hopefully that won't get too many wrinkles. I do have a pot of water for the brush just sticking to one side, or just off to one side. Okay, and I'm just going to smooth that, pull it this way a little bit, just smooth it down with my hand, and then just take that over the edge. And then just with the spare that's on the back, spare matte medium that's on the brush, and just add a little bit more, and then just give it a coat from the top. Just to kind of seal it in. Okay, so that's the back stuck down. And because we're actually putting paper onto paper, because it's not a wooden chest of drawers, then it's going to soak in quite quickly. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to snip the corners. I could actually just take off the corners like a mitre, but actually I'm not going to. I'm just going to cut a little snip into each corner. It's not going to be a very big one on this side, which is fine. Oop. That's torn it, literally, but that's okay. And then I can just start to add a little bit of the glue just on this side. And then fold that in. And then I can do the other corner, fold that down, and then just wind that over. And I won't do this side just yet. A little bit of glue. And it's surprising how quickly and easy it is to cover an item like this. Very, very easy. I'm using a one of those craft mats, which is non-stick, they say. I think we're just going to need a little bit more glue at this side. Get some under there. That's it. now we can do this final side here. I think I should have snipped it. Just like that, but that's okay. We've still got the other sides to do, so any kind of mistakes we've made will get covered up anyway. And this is a really forgiving kind of thing where you can hide a multitude of sins. Already it's starting to look the part. Okay, so that's the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my heat gun, because it's matte medium after all, and I'm going to encourage it. So let's turn that off while I'm talking. Just encourage it to dry so that we're not waiting for it to dry naturally, so we can speed the process up. Okay, so the back is pretty much dry, so I'm going to tackle the top now. So what I did was I measured front to back, and it's around about 142 millimeters. So I've already pre-cut my next sheet of paper to line up with the edge, like so. And as you can see, it's just going to catch just right at that end there. And I'm just going to do exactly the same thing again. So this time, the edges will just go right over without any need for tucking in. So this will be the top. So once more, get the matte medium, grab your brush, I'll just dry that brush off, and then just give everything a coat first, just to make sure it's really nicely soaked in. And then grab your sheet of paper, just give that a quick coat over, which does help to eliminate your bubbles and your wrinkles. And then we can lift it up and then just go over the sides, just to use up a little bit more of that excess glue. But of course, if you really wanted to, you could just tear these up into smaller fragments and glue them down as like a fragmented decoupage, if that's what you like doing. But I kind of like the fact that you can still see and read what's actually being said, or what's actually on the paper. So I'm just going to feed that as close up to the front as I can, and then just pull it tight slightly, then smooth down. That's it. And then I can just make sure there's plenty of glue on the corners, and then just carefully fold that over and glue that down. Across the top, and then do the same thing again. Just take a little bit of the matte medium, make sure we've got plenty on the corner. It really doesn't take a lot of time to do something like this, and actually it's really kind of satisfying to see the box get covered. I'll just add a little bit on to seal the top. If there's a bubble, you can just either prick it to let the air out, like so, just like you do with wallpaper, or you can just brush it. Create a little hole. That should let the air out. So just force it, that's it. And then that's going to disappear. And again, we've now got a seamless join front and top. And we're starting to fill in the sides just a little. Okay, so again, I'm going to encourage it to dry a bit quicker using the heat gun. Okay, so the top's dry, the back is now dry, so it's time to tackle the side. Now, happily, there was enough out of the one sheet to be able to do both sides. So again, I'm doing it so the writing's facing the right way, and I'm going to line up the top left-hand corner with the top left-hand corner of the right-hand side, sorry, left-hand side of the drawers. Yes, left-hand side of the drawers. Like so. And I'm going to just try and get it so that it's lined up with the front of the box as close as possible. And then that edge there is kind of disguised, and then we can just take that edge over like we did on the back and on the sides themselves. So again, I'm now going to repeat that process. So we'll add the matte medium over the top again, making sure everything gets a really nice kind of even coat. Make sure just go around the edge, go right up to the edge on the front, like so, and then any excess we can actually just paint on. Move my silicone mat down a little bit, put a little bit on there. Okay, so like I said, we can, I might have to stand up for this. So I'm just going to line up that top left-hand corner, but also making sure that I get it as close to the edge here as I can. And before it grabs, just smooth backwards. Just helping to ease out any bubbles or wrinkles. And I can sit back down again now, and then just push that over the edge and smooth it down. And again, just take a little bit of glue, seal it in, turn it over, and then we can just add a little bit of that matte medium on, just as that sealer coat. Add more just to make sure. This isn't going to be the final coat, so even if I miss a little bit at this side, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be adding some more at a later date. Okay, so once again, get the heat gun, and I'm going to repeat the process for that side. So I will get this dried, do that side, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so box is done. That side, top, back, and that side, as you can see, all looking pretty spectacular. Haven't done the base yet, so we'll tackle that last. So pop that to one side. It's time to actually have a look at the drawers. Now what I'm going to do, there are 4 drawers to do. So what I will do is I'll show you doing one, and then I'll pop off and do the same thing to the other 3. There's no point in doing a repeat process. Okay, so I've taken 2 of the remaining sheets and I've cut them down into strips. So just the width of the actual, or the height of the actual paper. So all I did was trimmed off top and bottom and the sides and then just cut it that way in half. Because our drawer is smaller than the actual paper itself. Let me see if I can show you that way, depending on the angle of the camera. There you go. So there is actually more in there than is needed. So what I'm going to do, that's going to be the back. I'm going to just do exactly the same thing again. Just grab my brush, get some of the matte medium, and I'm going to paint the whole of the front, and I'm going to take it down the sides this time because we're going to wrap the paper down the sides of the drawers. Maybe just a little bit underneath. And then paint on the excess. But I'm not going to worry too much about the sides at this stage. As long as we've got the front piece, we're okay. So if I bring that back, and then again, I'm going to stand up to do this. I'm going to try and get it in the middle, line it up with the top of the drawer, and then just fold it quite gently, roll it down the sides, and then just smooth it down. So where you've got the overlap, I'm just going to get a pair of scissors and I'm just going to snip. Let's see if I can get this in shot for you. I'm just going to snip straight up and do the same thing again into the corner, and then just grab a little bit of glue on the bottom, do the side, and then I'm going to fold those sides in. Just using the brush. And then fold the front over the two sides. And then we can take a little bit of that matte medium again, and then just add your sealer coat. And if any of it's popping up just at the sides, just push your brush underneath and just smooth it down, and then flip it over. Just add a little bit of that glue underneath, and then give it a nice sealer coat. And then you've got the front, a little bit, real quick and easy. Don't worry at all at this stage about the edges of the drawers, and also the edges, the front edges, as you'll see it on the drawer unit, the dividers. I'll show you what I'm going to do with those in a little while. So that's the first drawer front, all done. So I'll get that dried off and I'll repeat the same process to the other three, and I'll join you in a moment. So all four of my drawer fronts are now done and dry. So there's a little bit of repetition on the pattern, but I'm not worried about that, because when I did the background papers on the computer, I also did an additional sheet of poison labels that I managed to get from all over the internet, from Pinterest, from some public domain sources. They're all over the internet. So all I'm going to do is just pick one or two of these smaller ones, like that poison label there, that poison label there, and I might even put maybe one of these, or this citrate of magnesia, and I'm just going to put one on each of the fronts of the drawers. So I just need to go away and cut these out, and then I'll be right back. So I kind of changed my mind a little bit with the labels that I was going to add on there. I did cut out those other two, but I decided not to use them on the drawer front. I might use them maybe on the sides, maybe later. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add those onto the front. So for example, we've got this one here, so I might break that one up there and just add that, and then add another one of those down across there, just to kind of break it up so it doesn't look the same as the other one. But I'm not going to use the matte medium that I used last time. I'm actually going to use Distress Collage medium, which is the vintage one. This is what's going to give it that kind of aged look and dirty, grungy look, like the letter tray or storage tray. So all I'm going to do is just add some of that matte medium down like so. And you can see it's already started to dirty it up. Just add it in over the top and then just go over with that collage medium and give it a sealing coat, but at the same time just go over the whole of the drawer front. So again, go up here, give it a quick coat over, lay down my arsenic label, and then just go over the top with a coat. And that starts to dull down and starts to look a little bit dirty, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so that's that one done. I just need to do the same thing to the others. So this one we're going to put a hemlock on, up into the corner. And then I think we'll add one of the smaller poison ones down here. Let's stick it at a bit of an angle. Why not? Whoop. That'll do. And then again, just go over the entire of the front of the drawers, and I'm going to just repeat the same process again for all three other, or the remaining two I should say, of these drawer fronts. So when I've done those, I'll join with you when they're done and dry. Okay, so the fronts of my drawers are now all dry. That collage medium with the brown has started to make it look a bit more grungy, so it's more in keeping with this one, but there's a little bit more dirt on this one because I haven't gone around the edges just yet, just to grunge it up even more. But you can see it does start to kind of like all go together, and I have stuck on, like I said, those labels to keep it more in keeping with the rest of it. So I want to add the handles onto it now, so I'll just pop those out of the way, and I'm going to work on this one to start off with. So the handles that I've got are these ones. They're library handles, and these are from a company called Tonic. So Tonic Studios, Forever Moments, library handles. Now, I don't know whether or not these are still available or not. There's no date on them, so I can't tell you how old they are, but there is a website, tonic-studios.co.uk, so if you're interested you can always go and have a look to see if they've still got them. I've had them in my stash for absolutely ages. So all I'm going to do is just centre up the label plate, or the library handle if you like, on the front of the box, and I have my pookie tool, because all we're going to do is just stick these on or attach them with little brads. So I'm going to just hold it in place, and I'm going to very, very gently just push through. There you go, you see, making sure that you avoid your fingers, because, you know, you don't want blood all over the place. Now with this one, I'm just going to make a tiny, tiny little hole, because I can't hold that and put pressure on it at the same time. So there's the little hole. So now I can just push, just twist in gently with my pokey tool or brad awl, just to get those holes in place. So now I can offer that back up, grab one of the brads, pop it through, and then push it through the hole. Do the same thing at this side. So push it all the way through, and these kind of like are designed to countersink slightly, which is great. And then just open the arms of those brads like so, and then we've got our library handle that's going to be secure enough to not require anything else. Now what I probably will do is I will probably put another piece of card on the inside just to stop my fingers from getting stabbed if I, you know, slide down the front. Just a safety precaution. You don't have to, but just in case. Right, so I've got 3 more to do. So I'm going to go off, do the other 3, and then I'll be back when I've done all 4. Okay, so I've got the library handles on each one of the drawers. Now I try to keep them as straight as I possibly can. There is a little bit of wiggle room on them if you just manage to, you know, just so you can do minute adjustments on them. So what I want to do is just finish them off just by adding something actually in the label part of the handle. So what I've done is I've followed the poisons on each of the fronts and created some little labels to go in. So we've got strychnine, we've got arsenic, we've got hemlock, and we've got cyanide to go in there. But of course, they are a little bit too clean, they're a bit too bright. So what I want to do is just bring back that vintage collage medium again, and I'm going to paint over. See if I've got a little paintbrush that I can quickly use. I've got all my paintbrushes in the wash at the moment. I'm sure there must be a small, there is, there's a small one there, look. Just make sure that's it. It's not all gummed up, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over and paint this stuff just over the top. And I don't particularly mind if there's brush strokes in it, because it just looks as though then that it's been varnished. Okay, and that shouldn't take too long to dry, but you can encourage it with the heat gun. There we go, that's nice and dry, and also now quite smooth. But I'm going to put another coat on because obviously it is just a little bit too clean still. So I'm going to go darker in some areas and then maybe do the brush strokes in a different direction. There we go. And I can just build the colour up and get it as dark as I want. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that colour that we've got on there, but again, if I wanted to grunge it up even further, all I had to do is just grab some distressing, and I would use, in this case, the archival because it's waterproof. Where did I do my scissors? There we go. And then we can just snip them out. Don't forget these are going to be going behind or into the labels on the front so you don't have to go perfect because it will be hidden. We can just add a bit more grunge just onto the front of there, just to give it a little bit more age. And of course we can build it up and build it up, add a bit more, take a bit off, because now we've added that glaze it will act as a kind of barrier, but once this dries I should imagine it probably will be permanent, but not 100%. Okay, let's have a look to see whether that will fit. There we go. There's the first one. So I shall carry on doing the same thing to the other three, and then I'll join with you again when they're done. So they're all in place now. As you can see, they're much more fitting and in keeping with the actual grunginess of the outside of the drawers. I haven't put the distress ink away just yet because I'm going to be needing that again in a little while. So I'm just going to pop those drawers out of the way and bring the carcass back in. Now remember when I said I was going to put some black card on the bottom? Well, I've cut the black card to go on. Now I've backed mine with double-sided adhesive just for speed and laziness, but it could be glued. I just didn't want to wait for the glue to set to carry on and finish the project because pretty much on that final stretch now. So I'm just going to take the backing off and then I'm going to line it up with the front of the drawers, make sure I get it in the middle, and then just gently lay it down and then smooth it out with my fingers, and then I can just go inside and just hold it, push up, get a bit of pressure on it, and there's the underside all nice and tidy, matching the inside of that. But what I've also done is, just for speed, you saw me go over the drawer fronts and the sides with that distress medium, the collage medium, the vintage one, and I've done the same thing to the outer casing because it's such a large area you don't really want to be sitting there watching me do exactly the same thing on the larger one that I did with the smaller one. So I've pretty much gone around everywhere and added that coat of vintage collage medium, and of course now we've got the bottom. The only thing left to do now is just to deal with these edges here. Now you can, if you want to, paint them. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some more of that distress ink and I'm just going to dirty up the front because I don't want it to be too dark, but I don't want it to be too clean looking either, because they're actually going to frame the drawer fronts. So all I'm going to do is just go around with the vintage photo and just to darken those edges a little bit. I don't think it's going to need a lot. Just, it wants toning down and just dirtying up. And because I'm using the archival ink, it's also going to stick to the edge of the paper that we lined the outside with and act like a layer of dirt on that as well. Quick and easy aging. And of course you can go back in and make it darker, as dark as you want, just by adding another coat on, like in the middle, or if you wanted to, you could paint it gold or add some gold accents to it if you really wanted to, like kind of zhuzh it up a little bit, give it a bit of bling. Because sometimes the Victorians, when they had like apothecary cabinets, they had little gold or brass highlights on them. Now, because the drawers are made of card and made of paper, this ink will soak in. It will be a little bit wet, so it may be advisable to leave it to dry, but just for speed and ease, I'm not going to. There we go. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to come back in with a darker brown, so the ground espresso. Just use the same ink blending tool, and then I'm just going to add just a few darker spots. But I'm not going all over. Just where I think the most traffic would have been. There we go. Just give it a little bit of variation. Now what you can also do, if you want to, is just go along around the edges, just to also add a little bit more dirt and wear and age. Where it can be seen the most. So I'm just going to quickly whip around the front, the back, the edges, the corners, and then when I've done that, I'll come back, ready just to pop the drawers in. Okay, so I've just finished adding the last bit of kind of dirt around the edges. As you can see, it's now looking a bit more grungy, a bit more dingy around the outside, so it's time now to start adding the drawers. So I'm going to just drop them in one by one, no particular order. And there we have it. I have, of course, gone round the edges of the drawers as well. There's my apothecary poison cabinet drawers, all complete. So that now is going to match my letter drawer. That's the only few poison labels I didn't use out of the ones that I printed. So I'll put those to one side for use at a later date. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create and repurpose, alter these cardboard storage drawers in that kind of Halloween theme. So I hope you've enjoyed watching that. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. Mr. Bentley's just woken up. So that's all from me for today. I will be back again tomorrow with another Halloween project. Bye for now.